A lot of these Famicom games have some inconsistent titles. When the box, cartridge, and title screen have 3 different titles, I just boil it down to what the big logo says. That is a problem here. The box and cartridge say this is American football, while the title screen says Touchdown Fever. The box and cartridge also have Touchdown Fever written on them, but in different places. The compromise position is to just call it Touchdown Fever American Football. I think it's pretty obvious that a game called American Football is intended for the American market. But for some reason it took over 2 years for this game to reach the US. I think it would have sold pretty well with a simultaneous release. Its only football competition would have been 10-Yard Fight, and as a sports game, Touchdown Fever compares pretty favorably. That said, I'd rather play the arcadish 10-Yard Fight than this. It's just that Touchdown Fever is closer to actual football. There's 2 different game modes in Touchdown Fever. League play, where you just have to compete against everybody else, and tournament play, which is basically a postseason tournament among all the teams. There's also 2 players against the computer mode, in which each player controls a man on the field at the same time. I really wish I had somebody to demonstrate that mode with, because it feels really innovative. If you're on offense at the start of a down, you get your choice of style of play. Long pass, short pass, running, a sneak play, or kick. The way your team lines up, however, is not controlled by you. There's a few different arrangements for the plays, and the computer randomly picks which one you're using. There's always 2 different receivers, one marked A and one marked B, and after you hit A to snap the ball, you press those buttons to throw to that particular receiver. Sometimes. I've had passes that should be going over the heads of people get caught by them. For the long passes, you'll probably have to manipulate the receiver to get underneath the ball. And sometimes when you're throwing laterally, they could be in a completely different position by the time the screen scrolls over to where they were. All in all, this is a system that actually works pretty well on offense. Sure, you don't have a lot of fine control, but it makes Touchdown Fever play pretty snappy. And it also showcases one of the best things about the game, the sheer number of players on the field. Touchdown Fever manages to get 22 players out there. Of course, it does this by adding just a ton of flicker, but I don't think that ever really becomes a problem for the game. Players are flickering, not vanishing, and the ball's never flickering. When the AI is on defense, it's pretty good at running you down. You'll have a pretty hard time gaining more than 5 yards a play. The problems with Touchdown Fever start on the other side. Your defense is a lot less effective than the AI's. The AI is faster, and when it's playing offense, they can squirm out of your grasp. You don't call any defensive plays, you just have to accept what the formation gives you. Defense playing so poorly makes me think that Touchdown Fever works a lot better as a 2-player game. If both players have to deal with poor defense, it'll make the whole thing more exciting. I went into Touchdown Fever with really low expectations. It's a sports game, and it's by KAC, who's made just absolute garbage. But this is actually okay. It's not great, but it's perfectly acceptable. If you really loved football and wanted to play a football video game on your 8-bit console, you wouldn't be unhappy with Touchdown Fever.